Hi, my name is Matilda Carr, and welcome to my senior project podcast about comprehensive sexuality education. For this first episode, I wanted to focus on relationships and relationship safety. When talking about relationships, it's important to recognize that there are different kinds of relationships that happen throughout everyone's life, such as familial relationships, friendships, and partnerships with romantic partners, boyfriends and girlfriends, and such like that. And today I wanted to focus on the romantic relationships and really figuring out and navigating what's healthy and what isn't when it comes to those.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Cunningham. I work for Turning Point Domestic Violence Services as a member of our Bartholomew County prevention team. So I do a lot of work around talking to people about healthy relationships and how to have those. Thanks again to Matilda for asking Turning Point to be a part of this podcast. We really appreciate that. And today I'm going to talk about 5 pieces of advice for healthy relationships. This year at Turning Point, our theme for the year is It Starts With Me, because we believe very strongly that healthy relationships start with each one of us, which leads into my first tip, and that is that to have healthy relationships, it's really important to take care of our emotional health and to engage in self-care.
Self-care looks different for everybody, but I know personally for me, when I'm feeling down and I would like a little bit of a boost, I think going to the gym is really awesome for me. And writing down 3 positive things that have happened in the past day or so to me. Um, I know for a lot of people, repeating positive affirmations can be good for them, and even defining new goals for each week can help someone improve upon their emotional self care.
We need to look at, identifying our emotions and coping with those in positive ways and thinking about how are we taking care of ourselves, because how we feel can really impact the relationships that we have with other people. And we want everybody to be healthy and as happy as possible. And so those things help with overall health in general. The second tip that I have, which goes into that, the It Starts With Me piece, is trust your gut. It's really, really important to listen to those feelings that you have inside. And if something feels weird, or if it feels scary or unhealthy or abusive, it probably is. So listen to that and reach out for help as needed. The third tip that I have for you is that communication is key. Healthy communication is critical for any relationship and to make sure that those relationships are healthy. I'm a big believer in that you can say a lot of things. It's just how you say them. So thinking about how you want to say something so that it's respectful and comes across in a positive or as positive as you can make it kind of way.
Important things to think about when you're having important conversations with your partner or any relationship that you're in is to think about where you're having these conversations, because having a deep conversation over text isn't going to be as effective as having a conversation in person, because it's harder to gauge the other person's emotions and it's harder to be receptive. And everyone always says communication is a two-way street. So if someone's talking to you about something that's bothering them, it's your responsibility to respond to them in a respectful manner where you either address the issue or you talk about how things are from your side.
If it's important, a text message is not the best way to say that. So really thinking about how you can talk to somebody face to face, even if that's a virtual face to face way. And then being receptive. So it's really important. Communication is a two-way street. So it's really important for us to also be receptive to what other people are saying to us. And sometimes that can be hard depending on what that conversation is. and just to be open and receptive. That being said, if it does feel unhealthy or abusive, that is never okay. And the safest thing to do in those situations is to try to get out of that situation, talk to somebody, safety plan around it. But in a healthy situation, it's a back and forth. So being open and receptive. The fourth piece that I have is about boundaries. Know your boundaries. You get to set those. You know what feels right to you and what doesn't based on your beliefs and your values and how you feel about everything.
One thing to remember when starting relationships or even when you're still in relationships is that it is always okay to set and communicate your boundaries with the other person because everyone's different, everyone has different values and comes from different backgrounds. So everyone's boundaries are different, and you have to have these conversations with people in order for them to respect you and for you to respect them.
And the same thing is true is that we need to communicate with our partner or friend or whoever this relationship is with to ask them about what their boundaries are and then look at those. And then the thing with boundaries is that everybody's boundaries are different, and that's completely okay. The thing is to talk about it because it's not what's not okay is to have unfair expectations of someone else or to force our boundaries on somebody else. That's never ever okay. The fifth piece of advice that I have for you is that no relationship is perfect. I talk about relationships all the time. This is what I do for a job, and my relationships aren't perfect. The big thing to remember is that if you make a mistake, and you will, I do too, is to own it and take accountability and apologize and talk about it, have a conversation about it. And then if there's something that we need to work on changing, because sometimes we do, it's working on that.
Taking accountability for your mistakes as well as openly discussing them and having a conversation about where to go on from there is the best thing you can do when a mistake has been made in order to preserve your relationship and continue to be in a relationship with that person.
And then I want to leave one final piece is that you can always leave a relationship at any time for whatever reason that you want. I don't ever want anyone to feel like they're stuck in a relationship. You get to decide whether you want to stay in a relationship or not, or even if you want to have a relationship or not. Thinking about dating relationships and intimate partner relationships, if you don't want to have one, that's okay too.